5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Kennedy Mason.
And I'm Charlize Ramos. Thanks for joining us. It's been 1 week since Hurricane Idalia made landfall. Families and businesses are working to get cleanup and back to normal.
We have reporters all across the region capturing stories of the recovery and rebuilding and a look at the latest system brewing in the tropics. We're taking you over to the Big Bend region of the state where FEMA and other humanitarian organizations have set up shop.
WUFT's Reighan Sheppard was by the coast today and has more on the recovery efforts.
It's been a week since Hurricane Idalia ripped through the Gulf Coast of Florida. FEMA, alongside other not-for-profit organizations, are here to help lighten the load for this local community. FEMA's main objective is to support recovery efforts of natural disasters. Local residents' first point of contact will be Disaster Survivors Assistance. These assistants of FEMA immerse themselves into the community and ask residents if they have registered for FEMA assistance. FEMA is such a reliable source for incidents like this, as they arrived in Cedar Key just a day after Hurricane Idalia left the coast. FEMA and other organizations have tents and supplies ready for those in need. The FEMA truck will be on site until about 5 p.m., so if you are in need of assistance, don't be afraid to stop by. Reporting from Cedar Key, Florida, I'm Reighan Sheppard, WUFT News.
Cedar Key has less than 1,000 full-time residents, but is widely known as a great place to visit. It's a Gulf fishing gateway and bills itself as a haven for artists.
But as WUFT's Bianca Smith shows us, getting back to that laid-back groove will take physical and emotional healing.
Debris litters the streets as Cedar Key continues cleanup after Hurricane Idalia. The community is coming together during these hard times, and they're not alone. The Lightstream Behavioral Center is on the ground taking a different approach.
So they're trying to help themselves while, maybe not be able to help their neighbors. So we come in as an outside source into the impacted area and offer the support that we still can.
This nonprofit offers a place for storm survivors to get physical and emotional support.
This is just very informal, conversational. What you tell us about the impact that happened to you. It's emotions. There's a lot that arises from natural disaster, even if it's not directly related to the storm or whatever the disaster was.
Among the losses, Dunkin's on the Gulf, a staple restaurant in Cedar Key. The dollar bills on the wall, basically the only sentiments left unscathed.
It was pretty amazing. I was very surprised to see what I seen. I really didn't think I would see that much damage.
The day after the hurricane hit, the community began to rebuild their town, brick by brick.
I mean, if you take a look behind me, just over there is where the men and the women's restroom used to be. Now they're torn up in the water. Down here in Cedar Key, this restaurant, the concrete was absolutely torn up, the wood was shredded. It is a complete disaster, but they're doing their best to get back up and running. Reporting in Cedar Key, Bianca Smith, WUFT News.
The Suwannee County Sheriff's Office is warning neighbors to be cautious when hiring companies for debris cleanup and home repairs.
WUFT's Teitel has more on what you need to be on the lookout for to make sure the company is legit.
In a Facebook post, the Sheriff's Department said they have received several reports of people who are not legitimate offering debris cleanup, removal, and home repair services. To protect yourself from being scammed out of your money or overpaying for services, the Sheriff's Office says to request a state or business license, general contractor license, proof of liability insurance, and identification. In addition to those actions, homeowners are also urged to take a picture of the person, their vehicle, and their license plate number. Deputies say if they are honest business owners, they will easily provide this information. Reporting for WUFT News, I'm Jared Teitel.
Thank you, Jared. As recovery continues across the state, Alachua County parks are returning to their normal schedule. WUFT's Bailey Korinek was at the parks today with the latest on the reopening process.
We're here at the Mark S. Hopkins Playground, which is recently reopened after Hurricane Idalia. We spoke to the Partnership for Strong Families Director of Engagement and Development about how excited she is to have kids back in these spaces and to talk a little bit more about their mission.
We provide homework help to after school. We provide after school care. We provide summer camps. We provide field trips to summer camps. We provide a playground, a beautiful playground.
This area, a home away from home for many. It's part of the Alachua Parks family.
Mark S. Hopkins Playground is one of many welcoming back visitors.
This resource center helps the community, not just families, not just kids, not just youth in care, not just adopted kids, not just kids or families, period. It serves the entire community.
The playground is on the Southwest Advocacy Group property, also known as SWAG. Generically known as a park to some, but a place of comfort and relaxation for those who need to feel community. Bailey Korinek, WUFT News.
Hurricane Idalia really swept through the state of Florida, and it's clear we're nearing the peak of hurricane season.
Absolutely, and there's already another hurricane brewing in the Atlantic. WUFT's Derrah tells us more about this hurricane season.
That's right, guys. With the peak of hurricane season just a couple of days away, we're seeing a lot of activity going on out there. First, we have post-tropical storm Franklin, and that is looking to be likely to develop later this week. Then we have a new wave off the coast of Africa, which we'll be watching to develop into a depression soon, and it has a high chance of doing so. But the main storm that we're keeping our eye on is newly hurricane status Lee, that was just upgraded to a hurricane as of that 5 p.m. National Hurricane Center update. So I'll talk about that more in detail with you in just a few minutes. But right now, temperatures are in the low 90s, feeling a little bit cooler along the west coast due to that sea breeze. But overall, we'll be seeing warm temperatures the rest of this evening. Kennedy.
Thank you, Derrah. A toddler died on Tuesday after being left inside a hot car outside of a Jacksonville Beach church. This happened outside the Bethlehem Lutheran Church at around 2:40 p.m. Investigators say that heat was a factor in the 2-year-old girl's death. It's not clear if the incident was intentional or an accident. There's been no arrests made, and police are still investigating.
Newly released body camera video shows moments when gunfire erupted outside a Jacksonville high school football game last month. The shooting happened when several fights broke out after the game between First Coast High and Reighan.
Police officers on hand chased a 15-year-old boy and exchanged gunfire with the suspect after he fired shots outside of the football game. Take a look at this body camera footage just released by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. This is from a First Coast High School football game last month after 15-year-old Devin Thompson fired shots. You can see multiple officers running after him and demanding orders.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Officers then began chasing him across the street and held him at gunpoint.
Right now, kill you! Don't you move!
Thompson is facing multiple charges for the discharge of a weapon, possession of a firearm on school property, and carrying a concealed weapon. And a father accused of killing his own son in Polk County has been ordered to remain behind bars.
He faced a judge today. Stacy DeSilva has more on the horrific murder.
The next case is Stephen Rada.
37-year-old Stephen Thomas Rada with some bizarre, unprovoked responses in court Tuesday.
I have a pardon from Montana, and my name is Michael Olney.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent you, sir.
I own the NFL as well, so.
He is facing a charge of first-degree murder, accused of killing his own son.
Being a capital felony, you'll be held no bond.
This was the scene Monday in Lake Wales, where Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says Rada killed his 16-year-old son, Stephen Lee Rada, with an angle grinder, a type of power tool. According to the sheriff, the boy's grandfather came home to find his son, the adult Stephen Rada, outside the house. He told the grandfather he killed somebody inside. Deputies were called to the scene and located Stephen Rada walking on Highway 60.
It breaks our heart. There aren't adequate words to explain how horrific this event is.
According to his arrest affidavit, Rada made conflicting statements to deputies about his son, the victim. The sheriff says Rada had a history of methamphetamine use since high school and was prone to psychotic episodes.
We've lost a great young man, and we've got an evil man in custody, and we're going to do our best to see that he spends the rest of his life in prison.
The sheriff says Stephen Rada, the 16-year-old victim, was an 11th grader who was training to be an electrician. His father is now being held in jail on bond for his murder.
A 5-year-old boy and a 23-year-old man were injured in a shooting in Castleberry. Police arrived at the scene on Monday morning and found both of them shot in their left legs. A suspect has been detained, but police believe the shooting may have been an accident. Both the adult and child were taken to separate hospitals in stable condition and are expected to survive. An Amtrak train crashed into a semi-truck Tuesday afternoon. This happened just off the highway in Polk County. You can see crews trying to remove the tires and parts of the semi-truck off of the train tracks. Police said there was no one in the truck during the crash and no one was injured. And coming up when First at 5 returns, a group of manatees are after a storm surge from Hurricane Idalia, how experts got them to safety.
Plus, the Marion County Sheriff's Office could have a new member of the team coming to an office near you. We have more on what maybe not so surprising addition is on its way. All that and more on the other side of the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back to WUFT News First at 5. A new sheriff is coming to town in Marion County. Only these law enforcement officers have a couple more legs than you might be used to. That's right. A new team of horses are coming to a sheriff's office near you. The new mounted unit is currently in training. The sheriff's office says they're excited to introduce them to the community once they're ready. The mounted unit was created in the county in the 1920s and are used for crowd control as a way to get above crowds to see what's going on.
A group of 5 curious sea cows were stuck in the Whiskey Creek Canal due to storm surge from Hurricane Idalia. Several rescue teams helped relocate the manatees, and people in the water made little bubbles to attract the manatees closer to the surface. Others used boats to help shepherd them to a net where they could be pulled out. Rescue teams wrapped the manatees in blue tarp and helped them relocate.
They look good. They all look round, and they certainly have a lot of fight. So we're hopeful they're going to just go right back out and not like we're even in here basically. So
they were relocated to Horton Park. A mother and her calf were the last ones released. The U.S. News and World Report's high school rankings just dropped, and a local high school is in the top 40. P.K. Yonge is now ranked 38th in the state of Florida. U.S. News and World Report gave the Blue Wave a 96.76 out of 100 score. That puts them in the top 600 schools in the country. The report uses college readiness, state assessment scores, and graduation rates as factors in its valuation. Buchholz was rated as the top school in Alachua County. The Bobcats are just outside the state's top 50 at number 54.
The United Nations chief is warning of what he describes as climate chaos amid the hottest summer on record. He is urging world leaders to take action. Antonio Guterres spoke during this year's Africa Climate Summer in Kenya. His remarks come after the European Union's world climate leaders announced 2023 was the hottest summer on record. In a statement, the Union said that the months of June, July, and August were the warmest globally. Guterres wants world leaders to pay attention and take action. The United Nations chief says, quote, "The climate is imploding faster than we can cope." He cited surging temperatures as a call to action. Back in the States right now, 81 million Americans are under heat alerts across 18 states today.
Many school districts are starting back classes this week and are keeping the days short to keep students safe. And I've been feeling the heat in Gainesville, and it doesn't seem to be cooling down. Derrah?
Yeah, those temperatures aren't going to be getting any cooler anytime soon. It's actually going to be getting even warmer tomorrow. I'll walk you through exactly how hot it's going to feel throughout your day in just a few minutes.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Gorgeous skies over the stadium right now. Temperatures are in the low 90s, but it's feeling a little bit closer to 95. We do have a very subtle breeze, but it's not doing much for those temperatures. It's feeling just 3 or 2 degrees away from 198 degrees are those feels like temperatures area wide, and we'll be seeing something pretty similar tomorrow, and that's due largely to the swath of dry air we have over our area. There's a weakening high pressure system, and we have a little bit of moisture developing in the Gulf, but it's not doing much to increase our rain chances. So we're going to continue to see those warm temperatures close to 80 degrees through around sunset tonight, and then that's when we'll start to cool down as those overnight hours approach. So tomorrow, when you're headed out the door, you might want to grab a light jacket if 70 or upper 60s are a little bit cool for you, but it'll heat up pretty quickly. We're really worried about those high temperatures, high UV. So again, you might want to consider that sunscreen if you're going to be spending long periods of time outdoors. And there is a low chance for rain tomorrow, slim to none. So those feels like temperatures at 1 o'clock are already 5 degrees away from those triple digits, and we'll be dancing with those triple digits as we head throughout the afternoon, and it'll continue feeling at 96 degrees area wide through tomorrow evening around rush hour. So we have this frontal boundary, which will increase our rain chances as we head into the weekend, and then that'll drop those temperatures down, which will give us some relief from the heat. It'll stall out to the north, but then sag further south, which will up our rain chances as we head into Tuesday. Let me take you to the tropics. So we have a couple of things we need to talk about. First is post-tropical cyclone Franklin, which may redevelop later this week, so we'll be keeping our eye on that. Then we have a tropical wave right off the coast of Africa, which will likely develop into a depression soon. But Hurricane Lee, which was a tropical storm, now upgraded to a hurricane, here's what it looks like on that satellite, is strengthening. So it is expected to become a large and major hurricane by Saturday. Right now it's too soon to say whether or not it'll impact land, but we'll continue to keep our eye on that. So stay with WUFT for updates. So we'll have increased rain chances through the weekend, and then we'll see cooler temperatures through the beginning of next week.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
After a disappointing start to the season, Florida Gators football looks to bounce back this Saturday as McNeese State rolls into the Swamp. Both teams will be looking for their first win of the season as McNeese State dropped their opener to Tarleton State last week. Moving on from the loss to Utah, head coach Billy Napier has been preaching the importance of everyone being consumed with their own process.
What can I do that can affect the outcome and get really good at my job, and essentially just do your job, right? Take responsibility, take ownership, and certainly that starts with me.
Kickoff between Florida and McNeese is set for Saturday at 7:30 in the Swamp. Gators soccer looks to remain unbeaten as they head to Charlotte to face the 49ers tomorrow night. Florida comes into this match after tying Kennesaw State last Sunday in the first of a 3-game road trip. This will be the first ever meeting between the Gators and the 49ers. First touch is scheduled for 5 p.m. tomorrow evening. Folks, Florida Gators volleyball is on a tear. Last Sunday, Florida swept the number 5 ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers in front of a packed house at Exactech Arena. The Gators are undefeated to start the season with 3 wins coming against top 8 ranked opponents. Alexis Stuckey played a major role against Minnesota, accounting for 32 of Florida's 44 assists. The Gators are now ranked number 3 in the country, and they'll go for another win against Sacramento State this Thursday in the Gator Invitational.
Thanks, Jamie. And a wild story out of Lake Mary as a 3-legged friend has a little party of its own in the backyard.
Yeah, take a look at this video.
Oh my God, there's a literal bear in our patio.
Meet Tripod, named after its 3 legs. Apparently a known guest in the Lake Mary neighborhood, the bear broke into the backyard, got in the fridge, and grabbed a White Claw. 2, actually, mango and strawberry. How incredible to get that all on video.
Yeah, certainly a story you wouldn't believe if you didn't see it. Before we go, one last look at the weather.
We'll be cooling down into the 70s, so tomorrow morning, or even if you're headed out tonight, you might want a light jacket, mostly clear skies, but tomorrow, that's when we'll see that heat start to rise. Kennedy and Charlize.
Thanks, Derrah. BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.